welcome into a brand new episode of WSI TV. Enjoy the show.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of WSI TV. We're here on Monday for Jim's market update, and as always, I am joined by Jim. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. So before we get into it, I have to remind you guys to go on to WSITV.com to sign up for our free daily newsletters and get instant access to WSI Vault. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you to talk about what's happening in the general market.
Yeah, so the S&P 500, it's in the making, all the headlines, so I'm not really saying anything new when you see that the market is plunging further this week. In the last couple of weeks, it looked like to be threatening to give us our proprietary system to put us into the bear mode after being in such a unanimous bull mode is very, very sudden and somewhat reminiscent of older viewers remember 1987 when things got way up high in a pole and then suddenly dropped down like that. So it's kind of dramatic in that sense. But this week, if it holds here, it's quite a low open this morning, and it has been messing around for the last weeks, but never quite as low as this. If it carries on like this, by the end of the week, we'll have dramatically shifted into a bear mode of a very short space of time. And of course, what was going on here, this is the reaction to the coronavirus outbreak. We've been covering that and trying to give them perspective over the last few weeks, as opposed to being part of the problem, which is really what the mass media has done and caused a hysteria and a panic over something that really, in terms of as sad as it is, not to discount the tragedy of the effect of it, but the fatality rate is really no different to flu. So the worry now, and in fact what's going to is really unfolding now, is not the virus itself, but it's the public, it's our reaction to it, the hysteria that has been induced, and the damage that's going to do to the economy. And so I think what's happened is we've taken something that was a very minor thing and turned it into a major thing, made a mountain out of a molehill, and now there will be possibly some kind of effect as a result. If it carries on much longer, if they find a cure or the media move on to something else, then we could easily get back. And as and when this does, the stock market does recover, it's probably, I think it's going to be a very, very sharp one, because again, the stock market is a very cold weighing machine. It's just looking at profits and money, and it doesn't really care how sad it is that 1% of the people who get this die. But if you were to look at it from the market's point of view, they would say, what's the worst case scenario here? What's the worst case? What's the worst that can happen with coronavirus? And the worst that can happen would be 1% of the world population dies. And if you're looking at it from the market's cold perspective, again, we look at it, it's inhumane, but from the market's cold perspective, what damage would that do to sales in the world economy? That's all it was. It wouldn't actually be very much. But of course, our reaction to it is what we're seeing. Is what we're seeing right now. So another thing, there was another chart apart from the stock market behind the scenes. One thing I've touched on before, and that is the junk bond market, because what has really been powering this long bull market now, actually for several years, albeit with a little interruption, has been corporate debt, and this was always going to be the chart I was looking at for if there was going to be another 2008. This would have been one of the sparks for that, and that you can see is reacting way more dramatically than the market, because this is what's has been underpinning the bull market, has been a cheap corporate debt. Just to explain, this is corporations with effectively have low or bad credit ratings trying to raise money, and that market is headed down. The problem is that if a recession comes, then these companies who have borrowed so much of this money at low credit ratings are not going to be able to repay the debt, and then that's what the worry is here. And then the whole house of cards could topple, and that's what could take us into as I've been saying now, it's been one of our themes for a while now, could precipitate another financial crisis. So we wait and watch, and this Friday's close is going to be very important in terms of what our proprietary system says, to go to cash or to just stick it out. So stay closely tuned for that. But that's really the main story, and that's what's going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not looking great, but we're here as always to guide you through it. There is still the chance of recovery. It all depends on that news cycle and the reactivity of our side of things causing that market decline, as you said.
And on the upside of things, we're seeing gold. We've been a fan of gold for a while now. Gold is holding steady. We've got bonds that have always been in the bull market. We've been commentating on that. Now there are safer havens that money is moving into. On the other side of things, there's a lot of solid blue chip companies that are, when you have a situation like this, we throw the baby out with the bathwater, and everything gets trounced. But there's going to be a lot of companies that aren't possibly affected by the coronavirus. Yeah. And some companies are even going to do well out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything when it's this indiscriminate panic like this, everything slumps down, and that's going to create some incredible opportunities.
Yeah.
That we're going to be reporting. Certainly in our recommendation services and in following reports, it will create some great opportunities.
Yeah, so always looking on the bright side. We'll be here, as you said, to guide you through all of that, help you guys find those perfect picks. I think that's about it for today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching the latest episode of WSI TV. Be sure to visit WSITV.com, where you can subscribe for free with no contract and gain instant access to the secrets of self-made millionaires via the WSI TV Vault. So go ahead and claim this gift for free now at WSITV.com.